I just connected an Apple Watch to an Android Foldable. I beamed a video directly from my iPhone to this screen without a single cable. I even mirrored this phone straight to my MacBook using easy projection, letting me control my Android apps right from my laptop. But the craziest part is, I'm actually using this phone as my second screen to my MacBook. Today, we're going to see exactly how the Honor Magic V6 is completely destroying Apple's walled garden. I'll walk you through the exact steps to connect all your Apple gear to this foldable so you can do it yourself. Plus, we're going to look at why this specific hardware makes every other premium phone look like an outdated, heavy brick. Let's get into it. I honestly had to double check the specs when I first held this. I assumed a phone this unbelievably thin could not possibly hold a massive 6,850 mAh battery. The older Magic V5 was just as thin, but it only had a 5,820 mAh battery. Therefore, seeing them cram over 1,000 extra milliamp-hours into the exact same space completely blew my mind. But wait until you see the ridiculous power technology they managed to hide inside this to make that happen. First though, we need to talk about the absolute physical shock of picking this up. You take the top off the box and you're actually greeted by the phone itself. You pick it up and honestly, it feels incredibly familiar. Now I know what you're thinking. Maz, you just reviewed the Magic V5 a few months ago and the Galaxy Z Fold 7 a few months after that. We already know that foldables are getting super thin, right? And you're absolutely right. The shock with the V6 is not just that it is 8.75 millimeters thin. The shock is the density. Let me explain. Foldables usually feel a little hollow or fragile, right? When they try to hit those crazy thin dimensions. But the V6 feels like a completely solid premium slab phone. They kept that ridiculous 4mm unfolded profile. Therefore, it still vanishes perfectly in your pocket just like a normal phone, which is great news. But this time, there is absolutely zero flex or creak despite cramming in that massive battery we just talked about. Opening the new Super Shield steel hinge feels buttery smooth and it just glides open and snaps perfectly flat. We have to talk about these screens though, because they're absolutely absurd. The outer screen is a highly usable 6.52 inches, getting up to a blinding 6,000 nits of peak brightness. The inner screen is a massive 7.95 inch OLED display. But the biggest deal here is the crease. Honor have heavily re-engineered this new hinge design. Therefore, the crease down the middle is basically invisible. When you look at it face on, to me, it looks like a perfectly flat piece of glass. It does actually. When you run your finger across it, you can barely feel the dip at all. Now I'm comparing it to the Honor Magic V5, which I've had, the Galaxy Fold 7, the Huawei Mate X7, even the Oppo Find N6, which have all come out within the last year. So trust me when I say that this crease is the best I've ever felt. Or not felt, I guess. Anyway, to run two screens this massive, you need serious power, right? The Magic V6 is packing the brand new Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 processor, I love these names, which is built on a tiny 3nm process. It's lightning fast, you never feel any lag when you have 3 heavy apps open at the same time. And yes, you can do that. Apps load instantly. Heavy 3D games run smoothly. Therefore, it handles intense multitasking better than most actual tablets on the market right now. This brings me to the most absolute best part of this phone. For years, Apple has kept us locked tightly inside the ecosystem. I've been there, I think some of you might have already. You buy an iPhone, therefore you buy a Mac, therefore you buy an Apple Watch. You get trapped because everything works so seamlessly together. I mean, it's not a bad thing, just hear me out. The Magic V6 just kicked down that door. Honor built a suite of features directly into their Magic OS X software that actually talks to Apple devices. Let us start with the smartwatch. Normally an Apple Watch is a useless bracelet without an iPhone, right, for notifications. I know I use mine mainly to track exercises and steps, but With the Magic V6, there is a built-in notification bridge. If you want to set this up yourself, here is exactly how you do it. First, you need both your iPhone and your Magic V6 connected to the same Wi-Fi network. You go into the Honor Connect settings on the Foldable and tap Connect with iPhone. You then download the Honor Connect app on the iPhone. Once that's downloaded, you go into the Honor Connect settings on the Foldable and tap Connect with iPhone. Your iPhone basically acts as a bridge. Therefore, it takes the notifications you receive on your Android phone, your texts, your WhatsApp messages, even notifies you of calls, everything, and pushes them straight to your Apple Watch in real time. Just to be clear, this is a one-way street. It doesn't work in the opposite direction. You aren't going to see your iPhone notifications magically popping up on the V6 screen. But to me, it's an absolute game changer. If you love your Apple Watch, like many of us do, and want to daily drive a foldable phone without missing your alerts, then this is perfect, or at least a step in the right direction. Next up is file sharing. Moving a video file or photo from the iPhone to Android or vice versa used to require uploading it probably to a cloud drive or emailing it to yourself like it's 2010. Honor created a seamless transfer protocol called Honor Share that basically mimics AirDrop. Here is a very quick step-by-step to do this yourself. You simply go to the Apple App Store and download the free Honor Connect app. It's made by Honor, so don't worry. Once that's installed, just like before, the Magic V6 and your iPhone can instantly see each other. On your V6, you just select a photo, a file, or even a video, and then you push the two phones together like you're mimicking AirDrop like you do on the iPhones. The iPhone pops up as a target on your V6, you tap it, and the files move over instantly. You can do the exact same thing in reverse. Open the Honor Connect app on your iPhone, select a video, photo, or file, and beam it straight across to the Foldable. No cables, no compression, no headaches. Now, let's talk about the MacBook, because this is where I've been spending most of my time. First, you get the unfolded Magic V6 on your desk and use talking flower. First, you get the unfolded Magic V6 on your desk and use it as a wireless extended display for your MacBook. To set this up, you basically have to download the Honor Workstation app, which is available on the Apple App Store on your MacBook. Once you open it, it prompts you to log in with the same Honor ID as you have done with your phone. You hit a few toggles, the phone instantly becomes a second monitor. You can drag windows, edit timelines, or even drop chat apps right off your laptop onto this foldable screen. I use it to basically monitor my emails on this little foldable whilst I do most of the work on my MacBook. It's pretty awesome, and it's all wireless. But what if you wanted to do the opposite? Let's say you wanted to share your phone screen directly onto your Mac, like iPhone Mirror. Well, you basically enable easy projection on the Mac, and suddenly your exact Honor V6 screen is sitting right there on your MacBook. You can control all your Android apps using your Mac trackpad and keyboard. But here is where Honor paid attention to those small details. If you start by mirroring the outer screen, and then you physically unfold your phone in your hands, the mirrored screen window on your Mac instantly enlarges to show you the massive square unfolded version in real time. It adapts on the fly, therefore you never have to restart the connection just because you open the main display. Finally, we need to talk about audio. Usually if you pair your Apple earbuds to an Android phone, like I've been doing for years, they just act like generic Bluetooth headphones, right? You lose all the special features that you associate with the AirPods and your iPhone. But Honor specifically updated this software to recognize the brand new AirPods Pro 3. When you connect them to the Magic V6, the phone actually identifies them correctly. You get a dedicated menu in the Bluetooth settings where you can directly control the active noise cancellation and transparency modes, and even see the battery percentage, and this is a huge one, and even see the battery percentage of both earbuds and the case. So you don't get like a degraded experience just because you're not using an iPhone. I think that's pretty awesome. Okay, so the software tricks are amazing, right? But it takes a lot of juice to run all of this. Like I mentioned earlier, I had to double check the specs of the phone because I wasn't sure about the battery life and how it would hold up on normal day-to-day use. I was completely wrong. Honor uses a special silicon carbon battery technology. I know, Maz, here we go with the silicon carbon technology. Basically lets them pack way more power into a much smaller physical space. They managed to cram a massive 6,850 milliamps into this Chinese version and a 6,660 milliamp hour battery into the global version. Just for context, most standard phones only have about 5,000, maybe 5,500 if you're lucky. You're getting True all-day battery life, even if you use the massive inner screen most of the time. And when it finally does run dry, it supports 80-watt wide fast charging. Therefore, you're back up to 100% in less than an hour. This phone boasts both an IP68 and IP69 rating. That's the highest level of protection you can currently get on a foldable. It means it's completely protected against dust creeping into the hinge, but it also means it's fully waterproof down to a massive depth of 4 meters. You don't really have to baby this thing anymore. And speaking of not babying it, let's talk about the front display. It is significantly less reflective this year, but the biggest change is the glass itself. Honor used their new black diamond screen technology. They specifically claim this glass is so ridiculously tough that it absolutely does not need a screen protector. They even shipped it without one pre-installed. I know, the horror, right? But let's be real, my brain simply cannot handle the thought of a micro scratch on a premium phone. So I immediately bought a screen protector and applied it myself anyway. I just can't help it. I really can't. I need my tech looking absolutely pristine. Now moving to the back of the phone, we have that massive circular camera island. I have to be completely honest with you here. The physical camera specs look exactly the same as last year's V5. You still get the 50 megapixel main sensor, the 50 megapixel ultra wide, and the 64 megapixel periscope telephoto lens. Personally, I thought the cameras on the V5 were actually quite good. Maybe a tad aggressive with Honor's AI image processing. I think the biggest test for the V6 is probably not going to be the physical lenses because it seems to be the same. I reckon it's going to be in the software, so I'm going to be testing this camera heavily over the next few weeks. I'll compare the photos directly to the V5 in my full review, so make sure you stay tuned and subscribe for that. I just want to see if they look exactly the same or if there's some new magic processing going on in the background. When you add all of this up, the Honor Magic V6 is not just another yearly tech update. Maybe the cameras, we'll have to wait and see. It's a massive wake-up call to the entire industry. For years, we've been told that if you want the Apple experience, you have to buy Apple hardware. Honor seems to be scaling that wall, which is really cool. And if you want a massive battery that lasts all day, you have to settle for a thick, heavy phone. The Magic V6 proves that you don't always have to follow the rules. This phone takes the biggest pain points of switching to foldable and absolutely smashes them to pieces. They somehow crammed a ridiculous 6,850 mAh battery into this razor thin frame, but they managed to make it completely dense and solid in your hand. They gave it a true IP68 and IP69 waterproofing down to a massive 4 meters. I think you can finally treat a foldable just like a normal phone. They even built a black diamond screen so tough that it doesn't need a screen protector, allegedly. I'm never testing that. Even the Honor Magic Pen works on this foldable. Yes, they kept the digitizer layer right there without making it any thicker. And I'm looking forward to testing this because with the Crease this good, it's going to be way more easier to write on this foldable than ever before. Yes, I'll admit that keeping the same exact physical cameras as the V5 is a bit of a gamble. But if the new software processing holds up, it might not even matter. We'll have to wait and see. Honor did not just make a good phone, they built a bridge. If you're an iPhone user who's been watching foldables from the sidelines, terrified to lose your Apple Watch alerts or features like your iPhone mirroring onto your MacBook, then this device is a device that finally gives you permission to make that jump. It's incredibly tough, it refuses to die, and it works flawlessly with the gear you already own. But before you run out and spend your hard-earned money, there is a massive storm brewing on the horizon. As good as the Magic V6 is, the competition in 2026 is moving at lightning speed. Oppo has just dropped the highly anticipated Find N6, and it's supposedly got a zero fuel crease that you can't see apparently or feel. They're even cramming an even wilder 200 megapixel Hasselblad camera system into a body that's practically the same thickness as the V6. We're talking about true flagship slab phone cameras inside a folding device. The Find N6, as you might have already seen, is sitting in a box right behind me. I actually can't wait to test it because the real question is, does the Magic V6 still hold the foldable crown? Or is Oppo about to steal it away in less than a month? I'm going to put these head to head to see which one truly deserves your money. If you want to see exactly who wins that massive heavyweight foldable battle, make sure you stick around and subscribe to my channel, Maz Tech Central, where I like to keep tech simple and accessible for everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves.